Hello and welcome. In this video I want to show you as a beginner how I put Tint film on the windows. I have zero experience and have previously watched a few videos and read how to do something like this. But those were always professionals who have done this 100 times. For sure, that always looks easy. The constants, whether you get it done that way, they remain. Therefore, this is a tutorial beginner for beginners. So what problems arise and what you can expect for a result. Let's go. First, here's a parts list. Tint film, a little bit more if something goes wrong. A squeegee set, or I only needed these two squeegees. A cutter knife with spare blades, dishwashing liquid and water, window cleaner, a spray bottle, tape measure and folding rule, newspaper and a cloth, and adhesive tape. First, fill the spray bottle with water and add dishwashing liquid. I used about 5 to 10 drops of detergent per liter of water. For me, this is quite enough and worked well. Too much detergent does not seem to be good either. I diluted again afterwards because it foamed a little. So, now off to the car. The first thing to do is clean the windows really well. If you have stubborn residue on the windshield, you can use a copper sponge or reach for other tools. I only had a problem on one spot and I removed it carefully with a cutter knife. But be careful, the windows scratch very quickly. In the first pass I cleaned the windows with water and cloth to have a basic cleaning. The cloth has the disadvantage that it lint. In the second pass I used window cleaner. However, not with a cloth but with newspaper. This does not lint at all, and the window is really clean afterwards. Special attention here on the corners and joints. Also here the film should stick well. Now the windows have to be measured. At first I only had a folding rule, which makes it hard to get a good measurement because the rule cannot be pressed into the corners. But later I could use it well. So I had to use a tape measure, which worked better. I cut the film about 1 or 2 centimeters larger all around. So if you have a measurement of 15 centimeters, I cut 52 centimeters. Also measure in different places, because sometimes the windows are slanted and you have a different measurement in another place. The first film I had messed up by this mistake. Once you have the measurement, it's time for rough cutting. Make sure that the approval number is in the cut piece. If you don't have a table, you can only use the floor, as I did. For this I had an old sun protection foil and put newspaper over it, so that the film does not crease or scratch. The films are relatively sensitive, so a little care. Then put the folding rule on the upper side plus the allowance. With a cutter knife made a small score there. The same on the bottom. Then I put the folding rule to my marks to get a straight cut, and then carefully and with feeling with a really sharp cutter knife cut the foil. I did the same with the length measurement. So first mark again on both sides and then cut along the folding rule. Again, pay attention to the approval number. Now the film has to be cut to the exact size. To do this, wet the pane really well. You should not skimp here. The water rinsing agent film serves to ensure that the film remains movable on the pane. Now place the roughly cut film on the window. Make sure that the registration number is facing outwards, so it can be read from the outside. And, more importantly, only then is the adhesive side on the window side. Move the film so that all parts of the window are covered. Once the film is in place, it is time to cut it to size. Again, the knife should be really sharp. With a small squeegee, you can press the film well into the corners and cut directly behind it. A steady hand and some concentration is an advantage. If the foil is cut correctly, it can be carefully removed, so do not crumble. To remove the protective film, it is easiest to apply adhesive tape on both sides and fold it over at the ends. Then apply a strip on each side of the film and pull a bit. Now wet the pane again well and then touch both sides of the adhesive strips and separate the films. Now be careful. If the adhesive sides come together, then they stick immediately. With larger panes, it is better to be two, especially if you are doing this for the first time. The film wants to return in its roll form, a moment not paid attention and it sticks together. Apply the film immediately to the pane, so that no dust or dirt gets on the adhesive side. Also, do not put back the protective film. The water detergent film serves to move the film and get it in the proper place. Align it. Use a small squeegee to check that it is in the right place. If everything fits, it goes to the squeegee. When squeegeeing, always work from inside to outside, pushing the water out from under the film. Use the felt squeegee or the small squeegee to press the film correctly into the corners. If something does not fit exactly, in example there is still too much film, you can now make small corrections with a cutter knife. Be careful with the rear windows, so that the heating wires are not injured. Always squeeze with the wires, do not press too hard in the transverse direction. The next day, when the water has evaporated, it is best to squeeze all areas again, so that the foil sticks also at the edges correctly. If you still have bubbles in the foil, you can take a needle and prick the foil very fine and squeeze over it again. This did not work for me, probably because I waited too long or the film had no proper adhesive film. But I can live with it, it's only a car. So not everything has worked 100%. In one place I had such small bubbles. In another place I had cut with mistake. So if you value 100% quality, it might be better to leave it to a professional. If you are satisfied with less, you can do it yourself, in my opinion.